Name something that gets passed around.
A joint.
A joint?
Legalized marijuana is always a very difficult question.
The time is long overdue for us to remove the federal prohibition on marijuana.
From now on, I smoke weed exclusively with white people.
Well, I'll get higher next time.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man, the Snoopy Poop Dog.
There's definitely cannabis in there, and it makes sure that I can sleep now.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel?
Don't piss off your old dealer.
Marijuana is not the kind of thing that ought to be legalized.
I know you're not supposed to admit that you smoke pot, but I don't drink alcohol.
Let's get out of here. I have some really good weed back at the hotel.
I used to smoke marijuana.
I don't care if an adult wants to smoke marijuana. They shouldn't go to prison for it either.
Yeah. I wish you really believed that. Welcome back, everybody. It's 4 o'clock here in the Pacific Time Zone. Time for Toker Talk Radio. I'm Radical Russ. So glad to have you here. Thanks for being here. Live and direct from beautiful, legal Portland, Oregon, where spring has sprung and the sun is out and the birds are chirping. And oh my God, it's beautiful out there. This is a really, really nice place to live, like 4 or 5 months out of the year. And the other 7 months out of the year, weed's legal. So, you can make do. You'll get by. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. But I'll tell you, there's a change coming here in Oregon that I've got a problem with. Oh, it's already happened in Hawaii. I think it's already happened in California. And it's about to happen here in Oregon. The Oregonian reports, citing health risks, the Senate approves raising the Oregon tobacco age to 21 years old. Oh, my God. Yeah. All right, so let me explain why we're doing that here at Toker Talk Radio. It's not that I'm for kids smoking cigarettes, right? Not for that. But here's the deal. The bill is Senate Bill 754. 2 Democrats, one from Portland, one from Eugene. It's an offense of selling tobacco to people under 21, punishable by fines of $50 for retail clerks and up to $500 for managers and $1,000 for store owners. The same fine applies to sales of e-cigarettes and other tobacco products. Now, of course, it's all what about the children? Okay. Where an OHSU physician, Steiner Hayward, said, quote, tobacco is one of the leading causes of illness, death, and medical costs in Oregon. By raising the age to 21, we decrease access. This is pure and simple, a public health bill aimed at improving the health of all Oregonians going forward, end quote. Okay, so here's the thing I've got the problem with, and damn it that I have to be in another issue where I agree with Senate Republican leader Ted Ferrioli out of John Day, Oregon. He argued against the bill, saying it, quote, discriminates against some adults, end quote, because if it becomes law, people ages 18 to 20 can vote or serve in the military, but not buy tobacco. Here, completely agreed. That's my point altogether. We're citing the health risks, right? We don't want the kids to have access to tobacco because, my goodness, we got to take care of their health. But if they want to sign up for Uncle Sam to go carry a rifle in Mosul, have to deal with IEDs and snipers and stuff, go right ahead. What kind of logic is this, right? Now, as far as what the age should be, I don't care what age we pick. Pick an age. Make it 18. Make it 21. Hell, make it 25 for all I care. But make that the age for everything. Like, you hit this age, you're an adult. What is this, like, adult training wheels phase that we get from age 18 to 20? We're on adult training wheels. We're willing to take your life to serve for your country. We're willing to trust you to pick the next president. We're willing to let you go to the store and buy long guns, but not handguns. But no, you can't have chewing tobacco or an e-cig or a beer or some pot. I just don't get it. This adult training wheels phase, 18 to 20. I think we ought to just pick an age, and that ought to be the age for everything. Now, here's the problem with that. Here's why we got these different ages. In case you're wondering, because Radical Russ got the answer for you. Here's why we have these different ages. You got to have the military age 18. You got to. Because if you want to have enough young men who are dumb enough to want to join the military and put their lives at risk for an abstract concept that is really masking corporate ulterior motives, then you got to get them young. If the military recruitment age is 21, by the time you hit 21, you're like, well, maybe I won't join the military. Maybe that wouldn't be so fun. Now, that's not to disparage people that join the military. I was in the military. I've got family in the military. I'm just saying, when the possibility is getting shot at, it's a lot easier to convince young men to want to do that than to convince old men to want to do that. That's all I'm saying. So the military age has to be 18. And then the problem with that is that the military age used to be 18, or is 18, and then the voting age used to be 21. And during the Vietnam era, everybody started complaining, well, look, if they can go die in Vietnam, they should be able to at least vote for a president to maybe get them the hell out of there. And of course, we passed the amendment then that lowered the voting age to 18. Okay, I'm with that too. If we're going to keep it at 18 so that we can have cannon fodder for our wars, and then that necessitates that they should have the right to vote, aren't those the two most powerful things a citizen could possibly do? Isn't that the most you could give is your life to your country and your vote for the rest of the democracy as far as who's going to be leading us? So if we're going to entrust people at that level, what logic is there in not letting them smoke a cigarette or a joint or drink a beer? I just don't get it. I never will. But we'll see what we can do about that. I don't think I've got much hope here as far as it not happening. It's far too politically popular. And I think over the next year or so, we're going to see all these states start to roll their smoking ages, their tobacco ages, up to 21. And what you need to worry about that from our perspective is if we can make a public health argument that, the kid's got to be 21 to smoke cigarettes, next comes the public health argument that they need to be 25 to smoke marijuana because, the brain doesn't stop developing till you're 25. Remember, when they're going after somebody for their drug, your drug is next. All right, when we come back, we got more audio. This one from a caller from Oklahoma and video from the Connecticut debate over marijuana legalization.
This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
In the interest of fair and balanced journalism, the Russ Belville Show presents the anti-drug public service announcement of the day.
My name's Lisa, and in 9 years I'll be an alcoholic.
Hi, Lisa.
I'll start drinking in 8th grade, and I'll do some things I don't really want to do. So by the time my parents talk to me about it, alcohol won't be my only problem.
Kids who drink before age 15 are 5 times more likely to have alcohol problems when they're adults. So start talking before they...
This has been the Russ Belville Show's anti-drug public service announcement of the day, exclusively on RadicalRuss.com.
You know Herb Thrasher from the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. Now get ready for Herb Age Designs for the proud cannabis consumer. Herb Age Designs, lifestyle gear for the 420 friendly. Herb Age Designs, we've got frisbee golf discs and durable hemp gear. Herb Age Designs, we've got shot glasses, drinking glasses, coffee mugs, and beer cozies. Check us out on Facebook and online at herbagedesigns.com. And follow Herb Age and Herb Thrasher on Twitter.
You're not high. You're listening to the Russ Belville Show.
Victory over drugs is our cause, a just cause.
All right, maybe you're high too.
NORMAL stands for Responsible Adult Cannabis Use. If cannabis use is causing problems in your life, consider taking a break or seeking medical assistance. Consider ceasing cannabis use if you have a family history of mental illness. Don't drive or operate heavy machinery while impaired by cannabis use. Cannabis use is not without risks, even though the risks are far less than those posed by legal drugs.
Most of us pirates, we go on vacation to North Dakota, you know, because they've got a town called Argosville. Arr. What are you smoking there, boy?
This is Dan Michaels from danmichaelsaudio.com, and you're listening to Radical Russ on cannabisradio.com.
Welcome back, everybody. 10 after the hour. It's a beautiful day out here in Portland, Oregon, and our phone lines are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can call our Google Voice number at 650-LEGAL-MJ. That's 650-534-2565. 650-LEGAL-MJ. It's a message line. We take messages 24/7, and if we like them, we'll play them back here on the show, like this one we got Tuesday from Oklahoma. If I had it unmuted. Let's try that again. Like this one we got from Oklahoma.
Hi. Lots of love for your show, man. I've been watching you since I lived in Oklahoma. Keep up the good fight. Lots of love from Springfield, Oregon. Have a good day.
I will have a good day. Thank you so much for calling in from Oklahoma. And those calls, and don't get me wrong, I love my friends in the green states, but getting the calls from the listeners in the red states warms my heart because I know what it's like. I've been there. I lived in Idaho. I grew up in Idaho, and you feel like so under siege. You're like in an occupied territory. You're all, you just feel paranoid all the time. You feel like you're different than everybody. And any wrong step, any hint that you might be a cannabis consumer, it could cost you your job, could cost you your friends, could cost you all sorts of stuff, man. So I know what it's like. I know what it's like being there. And I know if there had been podcasts back in the day, that day would have been the late 80s and most of the 90s. If I'd had podcasts back then to listen to that had given me some hope, man, that'd have been wonderful. So thank you. Thank you so much for calling in. Appreciate that very much. Also wanted to get some more video on for you. And this comes to us by way of Connecticut, where there's a debate in their house, their Judiciary Committee it was, having to do with legalization of marijuana. And this is the current.com's report on that. And let's see if I can get that video up on the screen for you. And they got a lot of different opinions going on there in Connecticut. Check it out.
To incarcerate people just for being adolescents.
Okay. Oh, of course, we got to have an ad. We can't go without an ad, could we? My bad. I didn't get this prepped in time. Make sure that's muted. We don't want to hear an advertisement. So let me switch out over here, and we'll get that up for you here in just a second as soon as the ad has decided it's done playing. My bad. Sorry. We're doing it live. That's what happens when you got your internet videos you got to deal with. You got to get the advertisements taken care of, and we appreciate all that. But we really want to hear more about this debate that went on in Hartford, Connecticut, at the public hearing for the legislature's Judiciary Committee bills. Let's see if that's going to appear here. I think here we go. Oh no, now we're on local sports. Okay. Let's try this again, folks. I know we can do this. It's good stuff. That's why I'm I keep trying to bring this on for you. Congratulations to the high school team there in that video. Good for you, kids. All right. Now we've got one more advertisement to get through. All right. Well, in Connecticut, they were working on a marijuana legalization bill, and they had public hearing. People coming out to testify on this that have all range of opinions. Some of them accurate, some of them wildly reefer mad, as usual when you deal with these kind of things. It was a day-long hearing, and they heard from the public. They heard from various folks that use cannabis as a medical treatment, and we will bring we'll bring you that as soon as it appears, but it doesn't seem to want to appear. All right, I tell you what, it's fired. No more. We're not going to go with that one. We're calling an audible. We're going to call an audible here because it just wasn't working. So instead, we are going to go to C-SPAN, and this is coverage of a Senate hearing on fentanyl addiction and opioid abuse. And at the hearing, testifying was Louis Malone from the DEA's Office of Diversion Control. He was being questioned by Representative Buddy Carter. Yes, that's his name, Buddy Carter, Republican of Georgia. And there's another one of these guys that believes the gateway drug theory and thinks that people are out there lacing marijuana with fentanyl. Okay. They're all just going to do this to me, folks. I'm sorry. Here we go. We'll get this playing, I swear.
The synthetic threat outside the fentanyl threat, which is significant, is massive. We've identified about 400 different substances. It's kind of a misnomer to call it synthetic marijuana. It's a synthetic cannabinoid, and then you have the cathinones, and then a whole other series of these synthetics. This is a major problem for us, and the same criminal chemists that are tweaking the molecular structures of fentanyl are doing the same when we schedule those cannabinoids. Very dangerous. One hit can send someone into a coma or have some kind of violent reaction. It's a big problem for first responders, but it's a devastating problem because it's sold legally.
Absolutely, and that is one of the problems we had. We had deaths in my district. We had 5 deaths in Glenn County because of that they were buying at the convenience store.
We cannot keep up. We cannot keep up pace with the emergency scheduling on the cannabinoid cathinone.
Absolutely. We're just chasing our shadow there. And a couple other things real quickly. First of all, from what I'm being told by some of the drug agents, particularly in Georgia, part of the problem, too, is just with marijuana coming over, that some of it is laced with fentanyl. Now, that's a big problem. Now, full disclosure, I am a big opponent to the legalization of marijuana. I think it's just a gateway drug. But nevertheless, that seemed to be a problem, too. Now, before...
So there you go. The gateway drug theory rears its ugly head. And this new theory we keep hearing about, the marijuana laced with fentanyl. Because, that's the way dealers are, right? They've got this marijuana they want to sell, so they take a more expensive drug that's harder to come by, and they waste it into the marijuana that they want to sell, right? Be like if you sold, let's say, chocolate, and you sold chocolate for $1, let's say, but then you decided, you know what, I want to get more people to buy my chocolate, so I'll go out here and I'll buy 50 cents worth of peanut butter, and I'll add peanut butter to my chocolate, make peanut butter cups, and sell it for $1, right? Which, really? You would go out and make your product more expensive to manufacture, but then sell it for the same price. When the product you've got, the fentanyl or the peanut butter, could be sold on its own and be able to cover the cost of that. It just makes no sense here. I have never heard of an incident of someone getting marijuana laced with fentanyl. Now, that's not to say that there might not be marijuana laced with fentanyl. Sure, people mix drugs all the time. People do all sorts of interesting things with their drugs. I mean, my favorite thing is to make a joint with a little bit of hash oil in it, right? That's kind of mixing a little concentrate with some herb. But other people mix other types of drugs with each other as well. I've been known to smoke weed and drink alcohol, right? And there's alcohol, there's like hemp type brews now that have some THC in it and stuff. So this happens all the time. There could very well be people who like marijuana, who buy some, and also like fentanyl, and they put some fentanyl in their marijuana. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying it's not being dealt. Like, this is not something people are asking for. It's not something that's being readily dealt to people, especially unknowingly. See, people that want to get high just want to get high. They don't want to get into a narcotic stupor. And if they bought some weed and unknowingly it had fentanyl in it and it was knocking them out or killing them, that's going to really ruin the weed business for this guy. word's going to get around about this guy. It doesn't work that way.
Maybe we should start at 420, right? Marijuana reference.
Well, Homer, I think that's a fantastic idea because it is 420 here in the Pacific time zone, one of America's 2 legal time zones, except for that little panhandle in Idaho. We'll get that fixed one of these days. Time for our union-mandated safety break. Hope you're feeling safe. We'll be right back after this. When you are starting up a medical cannabis business, you want a fired-up lawyer who understands the needs of cannabis consumers. The law office of Lauren Vasquez is your fired-up lawyer for the cannabis industry. Visit her website, fireduplawyer.com, or call 1-855-MMJ-LAWS for more information. That's 855-665-5297 for Lauren Vasquez, your fired-up lawyer, or email fireduplawyer@gmail.com.
Marijuana is not addictive, but listening to the Russ Belville Show is. Warning. Hits taken on this show are larger than they appear. Do not try this at home. These people are professionals. Or at least they pay me to say that. Dude. A public service message from the Russ Belville Show. And blue blasten Gergen, Pfaffender blasten Schnurb Norben. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation, only on cannabisradio.com.
Welcome back, everybody. 22 after the hour. And again, we've got to take a look at the lawmakers of America, the state lawmakers who, bless their hearts, they're just so wise. Yes, the guys that came up from the city councils and the county commissions who managed to make their way into a representative or senator position at their state house must be some of the smartest people we have on planet Earth. They must be geniuses. Their wisdom, unparalleled. Without question, some of the most visionary leaders we've ever had in this country. Men and women whose names should be inscribed for all eternity for their far-seeing and unimpeachable intelligence. Because that's the only way I could explain why 2 out of 3 people in the state of North Dakota would vote on a ballot initiative that says medical marijuana patients ought to be able to grow and smoke marijuana. But these legislators, being so benevolent and omnipotent and omniscient like they are, understand that there's no way 2 out of 3 North Dakotans have any clue what they're doing. There's just no way 2 out of 3 North Dakotans have any idea what disasters their decisions will wreak on the state of North Dakota. So the wise and intelligent elders of the state of North Dakota are passing measures to undo that. Now, in the state of North Dakota, it is one of the states with the initiative power that does protect the votes of the people by requiring a 2/3 majority to overrule them or to amend their will in an initiative. And they're doing it. They're easily getting the 2/3 majorities they need to, number one, end home growing. The measure is the North Dakota Compassionate Care Act. It got 65% of the vote in November. The bill, a bipartisan bill, by the way, not just Democrats, not just Republicans. They all agree to get a 2/3 majority, you had to have a bipartisan bill. removes the provision of the North Dakota Compassionate Care Act passed by 65% of the people that allows people to grow their own marijuana. Now understand, the North Dakota Act was already limited on its home grow. It had a 40-mile halo, not the 25-mile medical marijuana halo like you got in Arizona, or the rec halo you got in Nevada, where if you live within 25 miles of a pot shop, you can't grow. No, 40 miles. Now, North Dakota is a big, empty, desolate kind of a place. So 40 miles away, you're talking about someone having to do at least a 1-hour round trip to get to one of the 4 places there will be dispensaries, because North Dakota's really only got 4 population centers. It's Minot, Grand Forks, Pierre, and no, that's South Dakota. See, I can't even name them, right? Fargo, I know Fargo's in there, and Rapid, that's South Dakota. There's another one, but anyway, there's 4. So if you're not living anywhere near them, they were going to let you grow some of your own plants. Nope. The legislature, being the geniuses they are, decided that the 2/3 of voters in North Dakota didn't know what they were talking about. Also, the bill allows patients to smoke only if a physician finds that no other form of marijuana would help. Now, the original thing that was passed by the people in North Dakota didn't make any mention about how you use the cannabis, but now they're going to take smoking out. Now, I know a lot of people, smoking is bad, it's not medical, it's not healthful, but we don't see a super amount of health lung damage from cannabis smoking like we see from tobacco smoking. It's really along the lines of being one of those mild side effects. And we have all these other drugs that are advertised like crazy that have a 30-second list of side effects that are far worse than occasional cough and extra phlegm that you get from marijuana. So, but yeah, they want to take smoking away, which people don't understand. For a lot of patients, smoking is the best method. It's portable, it's cheap, it's reliable, it's effective. Yeah, we'd like everyone to vaporize, but not everybody can afford a vaporizer or has the ability to get their vape pens charged or to be able to afford vape pen cartridges. Bulk marijuana flower, some rolling papers and a lighter, boom, you're done. But no, not according to the legislature in North Dakota, which in its benevolent wisdom has decided the voters didn't know what the hell they were doing. According to the Republican Senate Majority Leader, Rich Wardner, he said, quote, "Voters are going to get what they asked for, but we are committed to doing this right. Once the horse is out of the barn, you're not going to get it back." End quote. Yeah, the horse is out of the barn. Oh no, if we let patients grow their own marijuana, why, there'll be people growing marijuana in North Dakota. That's never happened before. Come on, to quote the Attorney General, give me a break. But it's not just North Dakota, folks. It's in Massachusetts as well. Yeah, Massachusetts Live has posted on how they're trying to cut down the Massachusetts initiative for legalization there on Beacon Hill. It allowed, what they're trying to do is to change how many marijuana plants a person can legally grow at home. And it's currently 6 plants, or 6 and 12 plants, I think, total. Yeah, here we go. 6 marijuana plants per person. Sorry, 6 cannabis plants per person. I was reading their writing. 6 cannabis plants per person, or 12 per residence. This state senator, a Democrat, by the way, wants to lower that limit to 6 plants per residence. He also would authorize municipalities to put in place local ordinances to ensure that home growing does not exceed that limit and does not negatively impact public safety. The concern about home cultivation of marijuana is it is not regulated and could potentially feed the black market. See, like I said in the rant, the reason you get restrictions like this is because we're afraid somebody's going to go smoke pot to get high. Somebody's going to get a hold of some weed. Now, of course, all of the medical folks explain how the proposed regulations don't account for someone who needs greater amounts or people that are making hash or concentrates or edibles. But it's not a medical question here. This is for adult use, so not as easy to get that. But still, 1.8 million voters in Massachusetts. And I believe Massachusetts passed with like 54%, I think. But still, 1.8 million voters decided that 6 plants per person, 12 plants per residence was fine. The lawmakers, according to this Mass Live piece, said they believe voters voted for legalization overall, but were not committed to specific provisions in the ballot question. Really? Are you? I love that. This is the old thing. Well, they weren't really looking at the details. They weren't looking. They just liked legalization. They just thought legalization is a good idea, and anything you put on the ballot, why, they'll just vote on it and they'll support it. Let me call bullshit on that one. Let me call bullshit on that one straight from the state of Oregon, where we are the case that proves that's bullshit. You couldn't find a place that's more pro-marijuana legalization than the state of Oregon, generally speaking. Culturally, historically, we were the first to decriminalize in 1973. We were one of the first states with medical marijuana in 1998. We've always been progressive and forward in our love of marijuana. More than Massachusetts, but Massachusetts is up there. So here you got the most friendly pot state you could possibly think of. And in 2012, the same year Colorado and Washington were voting, by the way, in 2012, we had Measure 80 on the ballot. And as Washington and Colorado passed with 55% majorities, Measure 80 failed with 46%. So if the people, the voters, are just the kind of folks that, we just generally like legalization and we don't like the details, why did Washington and Colorado pass in the same year that Oregon fails? Because the details in Measure 80 were quite different than the details in I-502 and Amendment 64. And to further prove the point, in 2014, we came out with Measure 91, where the details were significantly different than Measure 80, and it passed with 56%. We raised its level of support by 10 points because of the details. So don't give me this, they just think this, and what they really said was, gosh, legalization should happen. How about you legislators tell us how it should be? Well, guess what? People in Massachusetts been doing that for decades. People all over the country been doing that for decades. They've been telling our legislators, been telling our pollsters now for the past 5 years that we support marijuana legalization, that we want to end marijuana prohibition. This is another place where Oregon is illustrative in calling bullshit. In 2012, after we had failed with our legalization, Anthony Johnson and the folks behind Measure 91 put together a legislative concept, which is kind of like how you start a bill, put together the legislative concept for marijuana legalization and took it to the Oregon legislature and said, hey, look, guys, legalization is going to pass. You know it. We know it. Everybody knows it. How about we all work together on this? How about we put together some select committees and maybe some legislative council, and we draft something that could be the first legislative marijuana legalization that takes into account the concerns of law enforcement and parents groups and medical community and regulators and so forth? Nope. And here's the thing, too. We didn't even say that Anthony and the campaign didn't even say, here, do this as a bill, right? Like, put this in the legislature and then you guys go on record voting for or against it that could cost you standing or your career or whatever you fear. It wasn't even that. They took it to him and said, look, just refer it to the people. We have that power too. Some of the states with initiatives, the citizens can put together a petition and get something on the ballot, or the legislature can put something together and put it on the ballot. We were just putting this for, hey guys, you don't even have to put your name on it. You don't even have to be on the record voting for or against it. Just put it on the ballot for the people. They wouldn't even go there. They wouldn't even take that. So don't give me this, we didn't, they just were voting in general We gave legislators a chance. Oh, but now that we passed these initiatives, now they're suddenly marijuana policy geniuses. Now well, gosh, 12 plants, gosh, that's too much. Growing at home, that would be terrible. Where'd you get all this sudden newfound knowledge about pot, huh, guys and gals? All right, when we come back, more of these shenanigans, this time from Tennessee. And we'll look at some shenanigans in Colorado, as well as an overview on drug testing for welfare.
This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
The Russ Belville Show is proudly sponsored by the Marijuana Business Association. The MJBA, called by NBC News the Cannabis Chamber of Commerce, is the fastest growing business association in the fastest growing industry in America. I've been working with the MJBA for years, and I personally invite you to join the MJBA. MJBA also publishes the popular MJ Headline News on Facebook and the MJNewsNetwork.com and Marijuana Channel 1 on YouTube. Visit mjba.net for more details.
You're not high. You're listening to the Russ Belville Show.
I drank beer heavily and tried drugs enthusiastically.
All right, maybe you're high, too. Good for you.
It's time for Cannabis Facts about teen drug use from Robert Platshorn's thesilvertour.org. This message is supported by our donors and Hemp Inc., a public company poised to lead America's hemp revolution at hempinc.com. A recent survey by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control indicates that in states that have legalized medical marijuana, the rate of marijuana consumption among high school students has not increased. In fact, in legal states like Colorado, teen use has actually decreased significantly. It's simply no longer a big deal for teenagers in legal states. This was Cannabis Facts from thesilvertour.org, an educational nonprofit supported by our donors and Hemp Inc., a public company poised to lead America's hemp revolution at hempinc.com.
Here. Har, 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 har.
You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation, only on CannabisRadio.com.
Oh, wise and benevolent leaders. Once again, our state legislatures know far better than the people. Our next case of legislative shenanigans comes to us from Tennessee. Now, you may have been following on the show that in Tennessee, there's been some movement in marijuana reform at the local level. Recently, the cities of Memphis and Nashville have passed ordinances through their city councils, local ordinances for decriminalization.
Corporate ladder climbers love crushing the competition in Battle Royale.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that. Oh, yeah. It's one of them days. All right. So the Memphis and Nashville ordinances now are, I think they're like just a half an ounce, if I'm not mistaken. But the problem here is, well, for one, with these local ordinances, the discretion is still up to an officer whether to cite someone for marijuana under the city ordinance that is decriminalized, that's just a fine kind of thing, or to cite them under state law, which is still, the misdemeanor possession kind of a thing. Well, even though this is still a discretionary thing, cops could still give you the state ticket or give you the state, arrest you, for the misdemeanor. And even though in Nashville, they've only issued the civil citation 39 times compared to 963 state citations, right? So it's hardly even being used at this point. Even because of that, even though it's hardly used, even though there's still discretion, that's not good enough for some folks. Representative William Lamberth, a Republican of Cottontown, has proposed a bill that would repeal any local law that is inconsistent with penalties and state statutes pertaining to drug control and narcotics. The bill would also prevent local governments from creating their own sanctions. It was, of course, it's meant to overturn the laws in Memphis and Nashville. So, even though it's hardly being used, again, 39 times in Nashville compared to 963 times they've still used the state law. The vote was 65-28 in the House for this, but there were 6 Republicans that voted against it. And their reasoning for voting against it was that it's an issue of local control. That these cities, especially being larger urban centers compared to maybe the rest of Tennessee, have some right of local control to determine their own way. So they're pushing back against this because of the principle of the matter. Not that it's about marijuana, that it's just about, hey, they made their decision. What do you know? Some Republicans that believe in local control and in limited government. Wow, that's kind of cool. But the sponsor of the bill, Lamberth, is pushing back against that, and in doing so, trying to cite this as a racial justice issue, kind of obliquely. He says, or this is in the Tennessean.com, Lamberth has frequently argued that local ordinances could let police officers to issue citations unfairly to certain people while letting others walk away. Quote, Lady Justice is blind, sir, and Nashville took that blind off and insisted that their officer choose on the side of the road what penalties should be meted out. That is a decision for a judge under our law, and that ordinance set back criminal justice 100 years. Wow. And 100 years. Wow. So, argument there being that officers shouldn't have discretion. Now, it's a dumb argument because police officers have lots of discretion as to whether or not they cite people on all sorts of things. So that's a dumb argument right off the bat. And second of all, his argument here seems to be that given the chance, cops are going to arrest black folks and give tickets to white folks. Let's just be honest about what certain people means. Okay? So instead of a system that gives arrests to black folks and tickets to white folks, let's make it a system where it arrests black folks and arrests white folks so that everyone's equal, so everybody gets arrested. I have a better idea. How about we pass a state law that says black folks and white folks are legal, or just get tickets? Or why does our equality have to be more punishment? Could we just, let's bring the black folks down to the ticket level. How about that? Can we just do that? Just so frustrating sometimes, day after day, dealing with this sort of insanity. The Metro Councilman, Dave Rosenberg, who sponsored the marijuana ordinance, said, quote, the majority in the Tennessee House abandoned the principles of limited government and local control and ignored the will of the people of Nashville, instead yielding to the archaic Nixon-era hysteria of a small group of legislators who live outside of Nashville. Now, we're going to see, I think, more of this, too, as time goes on. As in Florida, they've got a number of cities now. It's over a dozen, I think, plus a few counties. 4 last I remember, maybe it was 6 counties. But a lot in Florida that have passed decriminalization ordinances. That's the kind of place I can imagine where in Tallahassee they're a little more conservative. Might want to try to overturn those kind of things. We've gotten, 6 or 7 cities in Ohio that have not just decriminalized, they've depenalized marijuana. And not like just a small little personal amount, half ounce kind of thing, but 700 grams. Yeah, if I can't remember all the cities off the top of my head, but I think Toledo's one of them. If you're in these cities, under the city ordinance, the possession of marijuana up to 200 grams is a crime that earns you a $0 fine and 0 days in jail. So it's weird because it's still a criminal charge, right? So you might have to deal with that on your record and stuff, but there's no fine and no jail time. So cities across this country, this guy is right. In this document, or in this report, he talked about how because of the failure at the state and federal level for the politicians to recognize the will of the people, that the people are tired of this drug war. They don't think marijuana is a big deal that needs to be treated like pot, like porn, PCP, and plutonium. They think that just treat it like alcohol. Let's get this stupid issue over with. My God, we've been dealing with it for 40 years now. I think that's where a lot of people are at this point. Now, there's another story to get to out of the cannabis. We're talking about, again, the wise legislators who know better than the people. See, the people of Colorado had passed this thing called Amendment 20 back in 2000. That was a medical marijuana amendment. Amended the Constitution to give people a constitutional right to treat their maladies with cannabis. And under that constitutional right, it was determined that, I know this is going to sound really weird. It's going to sound like kooky, but they figured that, get this, that a doctor should make medical decisions about how much cannabis plants or how many cannabis plants a patient should need to grow. I know, blows your mind, doesn't it? What? A doctor should determine how much medicine a person should take? Wow, that's revolutionary. So yeah, the people of Colorado, being, idiots who thought doctors ought to make medical decisions, passed this amendment in the Constitution to give a constitutional right for people to use and cultivate cannabis in an amount their doctor thinks is necessary. Well, this has led in Colorado to people having up to 99 plants for cultivation if their doctor says that's necessary. Why 99? Well, because when you hit 100, you trip the federal government's mandatory minimum sentencing scheme. So we just keep it under 99 out of convention, I guess. I don't think there's actually, is there a hard limit in Colorado to 99? I'd like to find out, but I think there's a hard limit. But anyway, it's been 99 under the current law. Well, the Senate committee now has just voted 5-0 on a bill to set a statewide limit of 24 plants per residential property. I'm sorry, 12 plants, a dozen. 12 plants per residential property, but up to 24 if they register. Now, Colorado is one of the few states that has a registry, but it's voluntary. You don't have to register. You just need your doctor's recommendation. So they're saying you get a dozen if you don't and 2 dozen if you do. Now, that, of course, is going to be looked at like extortion from some people in the patient community who need extreme amounts of cannabis who are going to say, I see. So you're extorting me with my medicine to have to sign up on a government list, to give up my privacy and such, to be on a government list that, implicates me in a federal crime. Now, not likely these people are going to get busted, and personally, I don't think a medical marijuana registry is any big deal. I'm telling you what they're going to say. They're going to say, look, I'm super sick. I've been growing 99 plants because I need oil. I process it into a concentrate. I use edibles. I barely have enough to get me by with 99 plants. Now you're going to cut me down to 2 dozen, but only if I sign up with your government program. If I don't, I have got to make do with 12. Now, it's a hard argument for their side, though, because no other medical marijuana state allows 99 plants like that. The most is 16. I think that's in New Mexico. Now, California has... Okay, so California is a weird case, too, because it's got different laws county by county and such. But generally speaking, none of these states allows anywhere near 99 plants. So they're trying to get it down to 12 or 24. And, of course, the concern they always cite is that, well, there's people that are abusing it to be able to grow a lot of weed in these grow houses. They set up these houses just to grow pot, and then they farm it out to Illinois and Florida and all these other places to make a buck. Yeah, Yeah, I'm sure that happens. But why is that the cancer patient's problem? Why is it that the existence of crime and criminals and people trying to abuse a system, try to find a loophole or a cover, why should their crime dictate that a sick person has to suffer? It seems an awfully restrictive way of dealing with the problem. Maybe a more effective way of dealing with the problem would be to eliminate it by ending this charade of marijuana prohibition, of ending this crazy idea that we can stop people who want to smoke weed from smoking weed. This insane fiction that we can repeal the law of supply and demand. It's never happened. It's never gonna happen. You can't make it happen. It's a freaking weed. All right, we got to take a break, and when we come back, we'll wrap things up with another review of drug testing for welfare.
This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
Hey everybody, it's Radical Russ here from 420 Radio, inviting you to be like me and get your ink done at Lucky Horseshoe Tattoo, Fort Worth's most female-friendly, clean, sterile, awesome tattoo shop. Thomas and his crew are true artists who can design you a custom piece or use a design you bring in. Lucky Horseshoe Tattoo also offers all styles of tattooing as well as piercings and all-around fun. In the DFW area, stop by Lucky Horseshoe Tattoo and tell them Radical Russ sent you. Trust me, it'll feel awesome.
You're listening to the Russ Belville Show.
Right now, marijuana is listed by the federal government as a Schedule I drug. That is absurd.
You can find Radical Russ online everywhere. Warning. Hits taken on this show are larger than they appear. Do not try this at home. These people are professionals. Or at least they pay me to say that.
What is your major malfunction, numbnuts?
A public service message from the Russ Belville Show. I have a package here for Radical Rick. Is there a Radical Rick here? How about a Rick Russ? Any Rick Russ? Somebody named Freddie Barack has sent him a package. Anybody? What is that? Sounds like a skunk. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation, only on CannabisRadio.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And as we wind things up, we take a look at a post up on UpRox, uproxx.com. Drug testing assistance seekers isn't working, so why is the government doubling down? It's a great review of this move on the right since about 2009 to drug test people who are seeking temporary assistance to needy families, typically called welfare, SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, typically called food stamps, and now unemployment. They want to drug test people to get their unemployment benefits. Now, it's pretty offensive as it is to be drug testing people for welfare or food stamps, to be able to say, hey, we'd really like to help you. Obviously, you're suffering and could use some assistance, but first we need some pee. Like, what? I remember that part in the Bible. Suffer the little children, let them come unto me, but I'll need a cup of their pee first. How does this work? So that's already offensive enough. But to drug test for unemployment is offensive because this isn't a benefit. It's an insurance program. You paid your dues into the insurance program. You paid through your payroll deductions. You had to have a job for X amount of time before this even kicks in for you to get unemployment. I actually took unemployment once. I got unemployment once in my life because most of my jobs that I ever done had been temp jobs, contractor jobs, so I never built up the requisite time necessary to get unemployment. But one time I did actually end up getting some unemployment assistance. I've paid into unemployment far more, and will throughout the rest of my life, far more than I ever got out of it, as do most people. But after the big economic crash of 2007, 2008, by 2009, 2010, more people are applying for food stamps, more people are applying for welfare benefits, unemployment and such, and oh my goodness, we got a problem. Because after a while, it starts to become kind of this, well, what's wrong with these people? How come they're not getting work? How come they're not working? We're giving them all this unemployment money. How come they're not getting back on their feet? So some of these right-wing ideologues get it in their little minds that, well, they must all be on drugs. Must be drugs. Drugs must be doing it. So they've begun passing these laws throughout the country for drug testing, for welfare, for food stamps, and lately for unemployment. And in 2012, it became a reality. They tacked it on to one of these spending bills, one of these compromises. And so the right of states to be able to drug test for unemployment happened in 2012. But it didn't get really rolling very well because under the law, it said you could only be drug tested for unemployment if you worked in an occupation that typically requires drug testing. And then that further got narrowed in September of 2016. The Obama administration put out a Department of Labor rule that really narrowed down what jobs you could call have to have drug testing jobs. Like, obviously driving trucks, train conductors, air traffic controllers, that kind of stuff, but not necessarily construction. Because there's some occupations, sometimes where that's not a need, right? Well, this happened again in September of 2016, right? There is this thing called the Congressional Review Act. And this is a law that says when the last president leaves office, Congress can go back and undo the stuff he did in the last 6 months when it comes to federal rules and stuff. And this is meant to be a check on a lame duck president going, well, screw it. I'm out of here. I'm going to do this and this and this and that. Just tag the place with a bunch of federal rules he likes, right? So they overturned this Obama era rule. This was Speaker Paul Ryan on March 19th tweeted, another one heads to President Trump's desk. This legislation allows states to have drug testing to receive federal unemployment benefits. Now, there's currently 3 states, according to U.S. News and World Report, that have these laws already. Mississippi, Texas, and Wisconsin. Then there are 15 states that have passed laws for drug testing people applying for welfare. And now with this friendly administration, you can bet there's going to be plenty more that are going to be drug testing. Now, there is a bit of a catch. They can't drug test everybody. There was an 11th Circuit Court of Appeals decision in Florida that you couldn't drug test everybody that wants to get food stamps or everybody that wants to get welfare because that's a suspicionless test. There's nothing about applying for food stamps or welfare that gives the government the probable cause or reasonable suspicion that you're committing a crime enough to be able to suspend your Fourth Amendment right to not have your pee taken. So they came up with a little workaround. All they do now is they make you take this little quiz. And the little quiz is kind of this little bullshit quiz, but it supposedly gives them a more probable, reasonable belief that there's some drugs afoot. But in state after state, when they do this, they end up spending tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars on the testing, and they have to reimburse people if they pass the test, right? So they're spending money on that to be able to save a few hundred or maybe $1,000 or $2 in benefits. I mean, it's always this huge ratio of you spent far more drug testing than you would have than you saved denying the benefits. It doesn't work. That's all the time we got, folks. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you